Hello and welcome to Theme Park Information. In today's show we have got a review for Alton Towers, located near Stoke-on-Trent in the UK. Now this is a theme park I have been going to for years, and it is always a park which does seem to both have really good positives, like there's stuff that I really enjoy at the park, and then it always has loads of negatives which really drag it down and just make it a really frustrating park to go to and review, because when it's good it's really good and when it's bad it's really bad. But this previous visit is pretty much all positive. My God, miracles are possible. Not fully, there were a couple of closed attractions, mainly Spinball Wizard and Wheater. But in fairness, there was some poor weather at Alton Towers that day, so I can actually understand a few rides being closed. It does happen. But the lack of queuing is absolutely amazing. I'll put it this way. Usually when I'm going on the Smiler, I will no doubt get put in row 3 and I'll have to queue for an hour and 30 minutes for the pleasure of that. Not this time. Literally, the first time I went on it, the queue was literally just in the cattle pen outside the indoor section, and the second time I went on it, it was literally inside the building, and even that was slightly closed off. It was literally just a straight line. I probably queued about 20 minutes for the ride in total, and first ride was a front row ride as well for the first time. Miracles are possible, my God. And then the second one was admittedly a classic row 3 ride, because we can't have nice things all the time, but I will say it was such a difference. It literally was just something which I do not see at Alton Towers pretty much ever. It was the same story with Oblivion. That's a really great ride. Love the how it's positioned and placed, and the aesthetic of it. Brilliant. Really good operations on it in about 10 minutes. Wicker Man probably had the sort of longest queue of the day and such. Even then, 20 minutes on the ride, and some of that was literally just waiting to drop off some bags in the coat hanger collection point and stuff like that. So amazing stuff. Managed to fly on that. Again, something like Air was about 10 minutes, or Galactica as it should be known, but yeah, 10 minutes. Nemesis was probably the sort of second, maybe the first longest wait, with again, 20 minutes, half an hour. So all in all, really good for those major coasters. And then also 13, a ride that I have also queued 80 minutes for, was a 10-minute wait. My God, we absolutely flew around the park. And me and my friend also managed to sadly arrive late as well. We're about an hour late and missed pretty much what is normally referred to as the golden hour. So God knows how many attractions we could have gone on if we'd actually arrived on time. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. I will also praise Alton Towers food-wise. My friend was getting a hot dog, and they actually had run out of the one he wanted. And what they actually did as a compromise is they actually gave him 3 small ones, which would have worked out to about £26, I think, off the top of my head, which was just really considerate and kind and just generally going in the right direction. I also kind of had a similar experience, but not quite the same. I was getting a pizza, and at the all-you-can-eat buffet they have, and they had stopped doing it, but they did give me the order option of being able to order a full pizza, which is brilliant. And it turns out, even though £14 is a decent amount for a pizza, not cheap, it was especially pretty decent to start with. Nice and fresh, nice and decent flavours and stuff like that. But I also found out that it probably was just about the right amount of food. The actual portion was decent, and it probably saved me £8 or so. Which does have to be given some praise of that being an option they brought out, and you can utilise. So I say Alton Towers, some top marks there. I also will say managing to get the tickets online did save me quite a lot of money. And I did also buy the parking online, which again also didn't necessarily save me money, but will save me time. So you might think this is all positives. I do have a few negatives. Main and most important negative is the fact that the ride queue lines shut an hour before the actual rides themselves. Now, I don't necessarily have an issue with this most of the time, especially because Alton Towers does usually have long queues. So it makes a bit of sense. But when the park is really quiet, I do just feel that this is a particularly sort of backhanded and negative approach. It does feel that you're missing out as opposed to being a common sense approach to operations. Now, I do appreciate that if they had closed early, but it was like past, and you're able to get on the ride a little bit earlier. I do appreciate this probably was advertised, but as I will be honest, I did miss it. But as I say again, not ideal. I do think that's something they could have looked at, especially on the day where, as I say, it wasn't super busy, and there was pretty good ride availability as well. So not a huge fan of that. This one is a slightly more personal one, and that is I really dislike the fact that Drool is no longer at the park. Absolutely love that ride, massive fan of it, huge nostalgia for it. Gutted that they've taken it out. I just had to put it on video, just to just set that thoughts there. But yeah, no, not impressed with that one. And I also will say I do kind of feel that some of the ride queue lines could also do with quite a lot more cover. It's or better drainage. There was quite a lot of puddles, and even though it didn't really absolutely tip down or anything, it was quite a wet and miserable day, and I do feel that maybe we should have a few more sort of protections from the elements. It is in the UK after all. It is somewhat synonymous with raining, so yeah, that would be a sort of improvement I could see hopefully in the future. I appreciate that that obviously involves extra maintenance, and it also may ruin the appearance of the park, so I do appreciate it can't be built everywhere, but just having a couple of areas would be really appreciated, I think. So anyway, yeah, really on point review for Alton Towers. Yeah, I'd say there's a few things I obviously didn't experience, but they do have, just in case first time you're watching a review on the Alton Towers. They do have a few hotels. I have stayed previously at the Alton Towers Hotel and the hotel with the water park as well. They also have an indoor water park, which is pretty cool. And again, it's been a while since I've stayed there, but you used to be able to go from the hotel all the way to the park. Pretty cool. You can also now exit the park by sort of Nemesis, which is really, really good, really handy, because that is where the car parking is. Saves you a huge amount of walking, even if you're then taking the monorail. It just, stops you wasting time and energy effectively, which is actually a really, really good sign. I also will say, big fan of Toxicator. Actually managed to get a really, really long cycle. It actually has lots of, various movements and stuff like that. Found it pretty intense and cool. Don't know if that's its usual or it was just operating that way because it was really quiet and there was literally no queue for it. I also will say again, I'm not sure why they have a splash zone in the queue. That needs to be fully taken out, I think, especially given the weather. And that is exactly also a prime example of a queue line which could be undercover as well. So yeah, as I say, I really enjoyed the ride, but some improvements there. And also as well, it has to be pointed out, Alton Towers has lost a lot of rides over the years. Now, I do appreciate that some of them have not been brilliant, but you can't be replacing things like the Blade and Enterprise and Submission and then not really replacing them with anything. It just means that your lineup is very roller coaster heavy, and they do also lack, I would say, a proper log flume. They do have a Rapids, which is really cool. Didn't experience it this time because of the weather, but they do have that. And it is always a park worth visiting. Again, if you've never been there before, a bit of a tip, it is kind of in the middle of nowhere. So you can get fairly close on some major UK motorways, and then at one point you'll just literally be driving through small villages and small towns and country roads. So do just bear that in mind. But it is definitely worth going to, and I actually generally had a really good day at the park. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.